Well, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes here on the Daybreak Show for our focus on Shelton, presented by our Community Credit Union. City Manager Jeff Niten in studio. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Very good. Good morning. Thank you.
Saw some news over this week about some potential acquisitions of some properties in Shelton and some cleanup efforts. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, we've been talking with Simpson Lumber Company for a little over a year and a half about potential acquisition of some property and cleaning up some of the property that they own on the uphill side from our yacht club.
Okay.
And that started, cleanup of those properties started this morning at 7 o'clock. It's something we're really excited about.
And so the stuff that is being cleaned up, is that are those homeless encampments up there, or is this something different?
There were a few people living up there. It's difficult to see from the top or from the bottom, to be honest with you. There's a little canyon, a little fold in the ground about halfway down, and there was an area down there that had several tents and several encampments that people were staying in that vicinity. And when the leaves fall in November, which is when we really started to hear about it, October and November, you can see some of those things from the road, and that's an entry feature for our city and something we take a lot of pride in. So we wanted to make sure we got that taken care of as soon as we could.
So this was a known encampment, a known spot. It wasn't just as you guys start to prepare, this kind of came out of nowhere.
No, this was something that we knew about from last year, and I'm sure years previous. But last year is when I really started to hear concerns from our local residents about how that entrance to our town appeared. Sure. And we want to make sure those entrances are as pristine as possible.
Yeah, yeah. And then through town, there's some opportunities to clean up some areas.
There are, along with the property on the hillside that we just spoke about, there are the old rail line that runs basically from just immediately north of Neyland Park all the way out to 101. And this was an opportunity identified several years ago when citizens in the community participated in a visioning plan. So we wanted to get moving on that visioning plan to make sure that we honor the folks that put in a lot of work to determine what our downtown's going to look like.
Yeah, yeah. So what could this possibly look like? And are you guys taking ownership of this property? And how does that work?
So it could look like the one main thing that we have the idea for is a multimodal trail that goes from Neyland all the way out to 101. And I have talked to Danette at MTA several times, although it's been a while, but we've talked several times about potential for MTA to put a park and ride at the 101 railroad intersection. And that would be a terrific amenity for that area. We would take ownership, and we would have that with participation from our police department to make sure that we design that as safely as possible and maintain visibility.
Yeah.
We also had a donation from Sierra Pacific, one of our great partners here in town, for two of the bikes that I believe we talked about, and we can use those to patrol the trail area, and I think that would be a great amenity for the citizens here.
But that would be a real nice usage path. That would be a real nice trail.
It would. The regional amenities are something that can attract businesses here. It can attract new residents here. Those are the types of things that show pride in the community, especially if we keep up maintenance, which we fully intend to do, no doubt about it, and keep up patrols in those areas. That is a big pride piece. It could be for the community.
Yeah. And then just looking and thinking about the downtown core, I mean, that's a lot of extra green space available in a limited expansion. I know there's been a lot of talk over, not necessarily Shelton specific, but just the country broadly of more green space, better walkability for the residents in there.
Absolutely. It's the walkability, getting people out of their cars, especially, well, not over the weekend because it was too hot, but especially on days like today where it's supposed to be in the mid-80s. Get out, have fun, meet your neighbors. We're Shelton, and we need to show that.
Yeah, for sure. Wow, some good stuff coming out with work and partnerships here. Great partnerships, as always, throughout the city, helps city business go. And then before too long, some looks into the budget is coming up.
Absolutely. We started working on the budget a little more than a month ago for 2021 and wrapping up 2020. But looking ahead for 2021 and doing our projections there, we have a good idea at the moment about what things will look like. However, we are paying attention to the sales tax numbers as in August, particularly because of the drop in the stimulus payments for our neighbors and friends that are having a difficult time right now. Those numbers, the August numbers, unfortunately, won't come out until the end of October. So we have developed a couple of contingency plans to make sure we meet the needs of the residents and the city itself, the organization, should the numbers change drastically in October.
When I think of the makeup of the city council, there are business owners, and there are state workers. There are business owners. There's a whole gambit of folks. Are they able to share with you some different insights as you look to the budget and say, well, I understand, for example, Kevin, Mayor Dorsey owns Uraco, so I'm sure he's got a great pipeline into understanding what's going on with sales tax and stuff like that.
I get a great amount of insight from each of our council members. They're all involved as being on the council. They're all very much involved in the community, and they have their finger on the pulse of the community, which I appreciate. And we've gotten great insight from each and every one of them about what the priorities are. Council developed their strategic goals last year, and those goals will continue to see us through both this budget process and the overall pandemic. They're our guiding principles when we make decisions at the city.
The Focus on Shelton is presented by our community credit union. City Manager Jeff Niten in studio. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I appreciate it.